Good morning and welcome to The View from Lona Ridge. I'm Leona Rocha, and in the studio today, my co-host is Rebecca Amato.
Hello, good morning.
And if you remember, last week or 2 weeks ago, Rebecca was my guest, and I have her on today. She's the administrator of the Pacific Cancer Institute. And I asked her to bring one of her physicians. Do I call you a physician?
Physician's okay.
Yeah?
I don't
You're
think
not
that's
offended?
It's not a derogatory term. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. We have in the studio also with me is Dr. Benjamin Falit, and I'm pronouncing that properly.
That's perfect, yeah.
And I have to tell you why this all came about. I was talking with Rebecca a few weeks back, or maybe a month or two, maybe even further than that. And I was talking with Rebecca, and she was so thrilled that there was this incredible physician coming to join the Pacific Cancer Institute. And when I heard about him and his qualifications, I felt everyone on Maui should listen to what he has to say and hear about this man who is now here with us on Maui and working at the Pacific Cancer Institute, and brought his incredible talent and his incredible education. And we'll get into that because can I call you Benjamin?
Ben, yeah.
Ben is
that's
okay?
fine. Yep,
All right,
perfect.
that's good. What did your mother call you?
Depends if I was acting well or not. So usually Ben. If I was a bad boy, then maybe Benjamin. So either is okay.
That's usually what happens with
Yeah.
most people, right? Benjamin, you know what? This program, this part, because we're going to tape 2 shows with you, all right? This particular show, what I'd like to do was to have our audience get to know you as a person first, okay? And then know you a little bit better as a physician and what you bring and your talents to here to Maui. So let me ask you a question. Tell us a little bit about your background. I mean, where were you born and raised, and who are your parents and all that sort of thing?
Sure. So I was born in Louisville, Kentucky, lived there only for about a year, and then spent the rest of my life in the northeastern part of the U.S. So Connecticut for most of my life. And then after getting out of high school, was up in the Boston area predominantly. So I'm a diehard Boston sports fan, and no time spent on Maui, I think, will change that for me or my wife or my 2 children.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're like my son with the Yankees. So, New York, because I was there for a long time, and he's still there. So he's a big Yankee fan of all sorts. You mentioned that you were in Connecticut, and then you went to Boston.
Boston area, yeah, for college and schools and things.
Tell me, what were you like as a student? I mean, were you one of these brilliant kind of kids that everybody envies?
Not when I was younger. In high school, I was an okay student, but I didn't really try that hard. I kind of didn't take too much homework home and played a lot of sports and went out with my friends, that type of thing. And then in college, it was very different. I was a very dedicated student in college, studied all the time, was really interested, and kind of put a lot of time into both studies and extracurricular stuff, and that's carried on to date.
What are you an only child?
Nope, I have one brother.
Let me then ask you yet another question on education. Well, to go to college, did you have to get scholarships? Were your parents able to afford sending you to school?
For college, yeah, my parents paid for college, and then afterwards I paid for graduate school, and so it was a mix, and I graduated with a lot of debt, but not quite as much debt as I would have had if I wasn't fortunate enough to have parents to help me with college.
Oh, no. The debt today to go to college is just staggering. I was talking to a dentist, and he said he had something like $300,000 in debt. I said, you could buy not on Maui, you can't buy a house for that.
Yeah.
Maybe a little apartment, a 1-bedroom, right?
That's a big change for medicine over the last 20 years, I would say. You talk to physicians who are 20 years older than me, and most of them graduated with minimal to no debt. And for me, I have debt that's comparable to that dentist, and I think that's on par with what we're seeing for young physicians who are graduating now. And schools are expensive, training's expensive, it's more delayed. That's just kind of what we deal with.
And did your brother go to school? You said you had a brother?
One brother.
Did he go
Yeah.
to school too?
Yep. Yeah, went to college, got a master's degree in public policy, and was in the consulting world. So not quite as much graduate school,
I
but
see.
he's a smart, successful guy.
Oh, terrific. Rebecca, was your parents, anyone a doctor in your family?
Yep. My dad was a
You see, Rebecca?
urgent care
Yep.
doc. So he did orthopedic medicine first, and then switched over to doing urgent care stuff, and worked a couple of days a week, and stayed home with the family a lot, though, which was nice. So growing up, I had my mom who was home, didn't work, and then my dad was probably home 3-4 days a week, something like that, maybe even more some weeks. So I had a lot of parents at home, which was nice.
Rebecca, as you know, Rebecca's dad was also a physician.
Yep, and I think
Yeah.
he was disappointed in his entire life I didn't become one. But I told him there were times in my life when I made more money than physicians.
And you didn't have as much debt.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right. There were times in my life my dad was disappointed I became a physician. So it goes both ways. Yeah. But I'm happy, and he's happy, and my mom's happy, and
So did you set out to be a doctor right away, right after? I mean, you went to get your master's.
No, so didn't get my master's. My brother got his master's.
Oh, there your
I
brother got,
mentioned,
but
right.
you went to college. What did you study
Right.
when you first went to college?
So went to college, and I was pre-med from the beginning.
Oh, you
so
were?
got degrees in psychology and Spanish, was dedicated to being a doctor from the beginning. So I wanted to be a physician when I was 5. And it was pretty much unwavering ever since I was a little child. And then I became interested in other things like policy and business and law, but those were always ancillary to my primary focus, which was becoming a physician. So yeah, day one from college, I was pre-med and carried through.
I would suspect that your dad played a role in your passion for being a doctor.
Tacitly, I would say, because he never ever pushed me to medicine. In fact, he probably pushed me away from it, because he came into medicine at a time when you could hang up a shingle, go to work, and practice and bill, and there wasn't insurance issues. The bureaucracy was significantly less. And then over time, it became such that he had a lot of insurance hassle and paperwork, and I think he was disenchanted to some degree with that, even though he liked the patient care. And me, growing up, I read between the lines and saw how much he enjoyed the patient care, saw how much that meant to the family, and I think that pushed me to medicine, even though explicitly he never did.
So when you went to college, you were pre-med.
Mhm.
Let me ask you what college you went to.
Brandeis.
Oh, you went to Brandeis.
Yeah.
My granddaughter was just looking at it to go to Brandeis.
Yeah, it's a great school. I was very happy with it. Great academics. Everything was great. Met great friends.
Did you have a scholarship? I think I asked you that.
No
You didn't have-
scholarship to Brandeis.
Did you make the
Yeah.
application for a scholarship? You know, a
When
lot
I-
of people are saying because of all the expense, you know.
Yeah.
And I encourage people to go and look. We have Hawaii Community Foundation here in Hawaii, Honolulu, throughout Hawaii. They give out last year $4 million in scholarships. $4 million in scholarships. And I like to get that message out to the young people here on Maui to take a look at places to reduce the debt that you end up coming back or graduating with.
Yeah, I tried when I was in college. I applied to some things, and just it didn't work out for college. I think I may have had a few $1,000s here or there for essays or prizes or things like that, but there was no substantial scholarship money. And coming into college, I wasn't the greatest student, so I wasn't necessarily deserving of something.
Well, this is interesting to hear, okay?
Yeah.
Because everybody says, oh, if you got to be a doctor, you got to be, the
Straight
1%, grade A, whatever. But each of us mature and become students, if you will, at some of us sooner than later. And having spent a lot of time with myself in education, not that I'm a teacher or anything, it's just, if anything, I need to learn. I'm more the student than I am the educator. I really do believe that we all learn at different levels. We learn at different times in our lives. Did maturation have something to do with you in terms of why in high school you were an average student?
Sure.
And then
That was everything. I mean, I think, people at age 15 through 18, which is the high school years,
Yeah.
is, different for everybody. And, for me, enjoyed playing sports and hanging out with my friends, and it was tough to get through to me. And then at age 18, I was more mature and was able to kind of study. I mean, I was still fine in high school. It's just that I had other interests too.
And for those of you that don't, how tall are you? I just got to have, I have to have people with a visual of what what I'm looking at here. How tall are you, Ben?
I'm about 6'3".
Are you? Wow.
Yeah.
So here in Hawaii, that must be, you must stand out in a crowd.
I guess I never really thought about that. Yeah. I mean, there's some tall physicians and tall folks around here too. So, yeah.
So now let's go back. So you went to, where did you go for medical school?
Yale.
You did go to Yale.
Yep.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I was from Connecticut, so it was nice. I was back home, close to where I grew up, and my wife now, girlfriend, fiance, back then, also from Connecticut, so it was nice for the in-laws, nice for everybody, and great program. I was very happy with it.
When did you what were you in school, medical school? When you
So I met my wife as a senior in high school in class,
Oh.
and we started dating, went to the senior prom together in high school, and
how romantic.
High school sweetheart.
that was many, many years ago, and have stayed together ever since, and got married in 2006.
You were out of medical school then?
I was entering medical school. So I got out of Brandeis in 2003. I went to law school. So I applied to both law school and medical school together. So even though I always wanted to be a doctor, I became interested in law, policy, business, doing something else on the side, that sort of ancillary stuff. Went to Harvard Law School. So I applied to both together, got in, and just deferred medical school for 3 years. Did law school through 2006. Went right into medical school in 2006 and got married in between the two. In the 1 week or so that I had off.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
That-
Right after taking the bar.
Oh my gosh. So you're an attorney as well. Well, you're not licensed here. Are you licensed? Are
Not
you
in
not?
Hawaii. Not in
Not in-
Hawaii.
but
In
you are?
Connecticut. Yeah, but not in
Yeah.
Hawaii. Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm so impressed, I have to tell you.
Yeah, I was good at school eventually, and now I don't practice law, and I'm really passionate about the medicine, and medicine's really my full-time focus. But it was a good experience, and got a great education, and met great people along the way, and
It gives
an
them a good
experience.
perspective of things too.
Oh, I think definitely. So I just want to remind people we're going to do a second show, and then we're going to talk about his, not the law aspect of it, but the medical practice that you're currently in here, and how you got to practice, what is it?
Radiation oncology.
Radiation oncology, because I'd like to talk about that in the next show, because I'd like it to be clear as to exactly what you do and how you do it and what your training was and why you settled in, and not settled, but why you decided on this path, if you will.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think that would be, so now you said you're married and you
Married.
have?
2 kids.
Ah.
So we have a son who's 6.5, who's Noah, and Brooke, who's 5 in kindergarten.
Oh, how nice. Was it was it hard for you to make this transition to Maui?
No, it was extremely easy.
For anybody that's listening, you've got to know moving to Maui has got to be like moving to heaven, really. It is.
Well, we did a lot of research before we came, and it was not something that we jumped into lightly by any stretch of the imagination. We knew that Maui was a transient place for a lot of people, especially doctors. So before we came here, we looked into every possible negative aspect of Maui in addition to the positive aspects. And there's a million positive aspects that we love, but there are some negatives too.
Yeah.
And we looked at those and we said, what's the trade-off for us? And my wife was very interested in Maui, and this has really been an easy transition.
Well, I think one of the negatives, and we're almost ending the show, but one of the negatives I just wanted to add is that the price of homes, I'm sure, was the cost of homes is really an issue. And being that far away from your family. The
Right.
rest of your family is still in Connecticut?
Yeah.
And that does, it's a barrier. I mean, it's one of those things. So are we at the end of our show, Rebecca?
Yes, we are, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
It
It's
went
just
by
this show,
fast.
though. Please listen to us in every other Sunday at 8:30. And we will, the next show will be again with Dr. Benjamin Falit. and he will share his expertise and what he does here and the benefits that we here in Maui will be enjoying because of his presence here at the Pacific Cancer Institute.
Thank you.
Aloha.
Thank you. Aloha.